In this video, Half the Sky, it talks about a vicious cycle versus a virtuous cycle. Gave an example of a girl in China who lives in a house that has no running water, and they live in a hut. And she wanted to go to school, but the family, for $13 of school fees, that was too much money, and so they had to pull her out of school to work in the rice field. But she was smart, and she was able to get donations to go to school from other places because she was talked about in an article. And so she was able to continue on to school and to college and to get a degree through these scholarships and the donations. It was not only able to change her life in being educated and graduating, but also the donations went to her family, and her family was able to build a new home, and also the donations went to the village, which built a new school and helped out in tremendous ways that way. So that is one example of a vicious cycle turning into a virtuous cycle. It also talks about women versus men and why are girls discriminated against. It gave reasons for poverty. In poverty places, men are educated and seem to be able to get jobs, but girls are more looked at to have babies. And also some of the men, depending on, they choose where the money is to be spent at, and so they're spending more of the money on alcohol and smoking and things like that instead of going towards careers and schools for their children or for even their self. It also talked about how you have to utilize your talents and your resources, or your village, or you would be able to not prosper unless you look at things a little differently and utilize the resources that you have in your country. It also talked about some challenges that we have, and one is sex trafficking in some of these other countries, how women are sold for a few $100s and not looked at being worth very much. It also talked about the maternal mortality rate in a lot of these countries. 1 out of 7 women die during childbirth, and so that definitely affects women versus men. Again, in that realm, an example of vicious cycle versus virtuous cycle, again, was an example of a pregnant girl who was very young and who lost her baby, literally had her baby outside and was shut out by the village because her baby died and she was very ill, and so she ended up crawling 30 miles to another village to get help, which then that village was able to help her seek help and become better. So educating girls tend to make the women have less children because they are educated and seek after better things. But it also, educating women is the best investment to making your country prosper and grow as well. There's ways of doing that and getting college scholarships and doing better that way. As a group and as individuals, we can team together in making these changes and making things happen that way. Once our material needs are taken care of, we can look past the material needs into education and look to contributing some of the money and some of the things that we have to go to something for good and someone to help them become more better in their lives as well by giving donations and meeting those needs for other people and looking past our own. And then in the end, we become much happier people as well.